Hello, my beautiful friends. I am Laurel Bleadon-Maffei with Illuminating Souls, welcoming you to this episode of Sleepy Bedtime Blessings, a podcast designed to help you rest, relax, and fall asleep, all while deepening in your connection with your beautiful team of angels who love you so. I am an angelic practitioner, a spiritual teacher, and an encourager of souls. And I feel so blessed to do the work that I do in the world. And I've been doing it full time since 2006, which is so hard to believe. And what that looks like is I teach a variety of classes that take place over Zoom. My classes tend to be small in size, so there's a lot of intimacy in the classes I facilitate. And I have a new class that starts just about every 6 weeks or so, and I mix it up, so there's always a variety of classes to choose from. And then I also offer one-on-one angel sessions, which are an hour in length and take place over the phone. And then for those of you who are looking for something more supportive, I offer soul mentoring. And what soul mentoring is we meet weekly for an extended period of time. Some people have been with me for years. Other people might stay for 12 or 24 weeks. And we create a sanctuary and a very supportive space to support you as you move through a time of transition or growth or healing. And I only work with a handful of people this way. And so if that is something that ever resonates for you, feel free to reach out and we can talk about it. I also want to invite you to visit me at my website, illuminatingsouls.com, where you can sign up for my mailing list. I have 2 different mailing lists. At the top of my webpage, you can sign up for my general mailing list, and you'll get all of my general announcements and class announcements and things like that. And then further down on the page, you can sign up for my daily inspiration email blast, and you'll receive an inspiring email from me every weekday. I also post daily on Facebook, so there are lots of ways that we can connect. But for now, the angels and I are here to help you come into a sweet space where you can replenish and let go and receive the love that is here for you. As those of you who are regular listeners know, I have created this podcast because I love sleep podcasts. I listen to one every night. And I've been relying on them for many years to help bridge that space between my waking consciousness and drifting off into that sweet mystery that is sleep. And I listen to a variety of sleep podcasts, including this one. Good news, this does work as a sleep podcast. I can give myself my own testimonial. It works. Sometimes I listen to music. I love listening to stories. Stories are some of my favorite, especially when people share stories from their lives. And so in this podcast, I always start off with a bit of love for you and the angels, and then we move into Storytime. And Storytime switches up. It can be something from my own life. It might be reading to you from an old TV guide or an old cookbook or something that is in the public domain. And my hope is that this podcast is good company for you. Isn't that a wonderful phrase? When someone or something is good company. I don't know why, that just warms my heart. So I would love to be good company for you. That whatever you're doing, whether you're listening in your waking hours and going about your day, or you're getting ready to drift off to sleep, that this will be a sweet, loving space for you. Because I don't know about you, but I feel like we need more sweet and loving spaces in this world. Bring it on. Bring me more. Yes? And also, I feel it's important to normalize the conversation about sleep. Whether that's being tired all the time, whether that's having trouble going to sleep or waking up in the middle of the night. I think some people are very fortunate that they sleep when they need to sleep and it's not an issue. But I also think for many of us, especially as we get older, our sleep cycles change. And I'm very fortunate in that I work for myself. And so I can adapt my schedule so that it meets me where I am in terms of sleep cycles. My present sleep cycle is shifting a bit. So I'm almost always in bed by 8 o'clock. How it used to be is I'd wake up somewhere around 3 a.m. and I might put on another podcast or read something on my phone and maybe go back to sleep for a little while. And that was working well. That was sustainable for me. Recently, I've started waking up at 1 or 2 in the morning and I'm like, oh no, what do I do now? Well, what I did is the same thing I would do when I would wake up at 3. I would either put on another podcast or read something on my phone till I was ready to go back to sleep, and I would usually go back to sleep. I've also started napping, something I never thought I would do. But I get tired sometimes around 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. and I'm having to come into harmony with my sleep cycle. And I'm fortunate that I have a life that I can adapt to what I need. So in my work schedule, I can start doing sessions as early as 6:30 in the morning because I'm up, I'm awake, I'm good. In the early morning, I am my brightest. I totally take after my dad in this. But 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm done. Wes says I have an off switch. And he sees me shutting down. It's like I get these circles under my eyes and I just get tired. And I just wait it out until 8 o'clock when I can go to bed. So he's been telling me, just go to bed at 5 when you're tired. And I don't know why that idea of doing that and being awake at midnight just doesn't sound good to me. So anyways, probably more than you wanted to know about my own sleep patterns. But we all have them, and I think it's important that we normalize this conversation. And if we're fortunate, we can somehow adapt to what our bodies are navigating. So here I am. It is early morning as I record this. It is a Monday morning. The skies are beautiful. I have a lovely day ahead of me of soul mentoring sessions. And I'm going to be putting together the information for a new class. That's not my favorite part of teaching, just so you know. I mean, having to put together the sales page, which isn't really a sales page. It's more of an informational page. To me is one of the harder things of being a solo entrepreneur, but we're going to do it because I'm excited about my next class. And I hope you have something that you can look forward to this week. And if not, let's ask the angels to bring it in for you, our beautiful angels. And if you're new to the world of angels, welcome. Welcome. It's a lovely place to be. And my experience in the angels is they are divine celestial beings. And they are here to bring us love, not human love that can be conditional, even when it's unconditional, but to truly bring us divine love that always is. I think the word unconditional love can't really be used because we're pretty fickle as a species. We love unconditionally until we don't. Like there's a switch that can flip and With the angels, it is a sustained note. With God, it is a sustained note. It always is. As you've heard me say before, it is much more like the sun, and that the sun always is. Even when you can't see it, even when it's nighttime, we know the sun is there, and we know the sun will show up the next day. The sun is. God's love is. The angels' love is. And when we learn to pivot towards that love, it can bring deep healing and light into our lives. And it doesn't mean that life becomes perfect. Life is life. I think I've shared this with you before. There is a wonderful book by Sue Monk Kidd called The Book of Longings. It's a fictional story that is written about the wife of Jesus. Now, as far as we know, we don't know that Jesus had a wife, and in terms of Christianity, he never did. So this is a fictional book. And he marries a woman named Anna. And Anna has a deep thirst for wisdom and knowledge, and she has a very wise older aunt named Yaltha. And they later go to live with the Essenes. And whenever something really hard would happen in life, Yaltha would say to Anna, "Life is life, and death is death." And I don't know why that brings me so much comfort. Life is life. Because I think on the journey of self-growth and spirituality and New Age thinking and law of attraction, we somehow come into this belief that if we're doing it all right, it's that life is good, life is great, our dreams come true, amazing things happen. And I'm not saying life isn't great and beautiful and wonderful things don't happen, they do. But life is life. And sometimes life is challenging, and sometimes life is hard. And it doesn't mean we've done anything wrong or we've been abandoned. It's just that life is life. Life is a continuum. Life is a Mobius. And we dance into the shadow and we dance back into the light, and the tide goes out and the tide goes in. And hopefully, as we learn about self-growth and connect more with love, and we learn to love ourselves more deeply, as we can come into our own experiences with more self-compassion, it helps us deepen in our humanity. It helps us be kinder in a world, and to pivot towards others who are kind as well. And so I do believe it helps life take on a patina of light. And life is life. So we all go through everything. We go through it all. And we are loved through it all, always and forever. And it is the audacious act of pivoting towards the love that is so profoundly supportive as we navigate all that is life. Which is why I teach what I teach. I teach what I teach not so that you'll never have hardship in your life. I don't have that power, and unfortunately neither do you. But what I teach will sustain you. It will lift you up and give you wings when life is good. Like when life is good, like the song says, this is the wind beneath your wings, right? And when life is challenging, this will sustain you. This will give you hope. This will keep you afloat. It's like that metaphor of the footprints in the sand, yes? That as someone looks at their life through the footprints In the sand, there are 2 sets of footprints, but when life is hard, there is 1 set. And it's because God is carrying you. So this is why I do what I do, to bring you love, to let you know every breath of your life you are loved, and you are worthy, and you are a blessing, and you are precious. And I'm so grateful that you are here. So I'm going to invite the angels to be here. They're already here. But let's take a deep breath in together and release as we gently call ourselves forward into the heart of God. And beautiful angels on high, I invite you to join us here. I ask that you uplift us, that you bring blessings of love to each of our beloveds listening to this message, that you help lift anything that feels heavy, anything that is not ours, and that you infuse us with inspiration and joy and light and love. Help us be in the place of blessings, a place where blessings are bountiful and we are aware of our blessings. Make it easy to count our blessings and be in the grateful beauty that is this moment, and feel into the gratitude of the beauty of this moment. And dear ones, just take a deep breath in. And if you have any prayers or intentions that you would like to share with the angels and with God, I invite you to bring them into your heart now. And just breathe and receive. There is so much light flowing in for you right now. The angels are bringing in a vibration that is lightness of spirit to help you reconnect with your spark, that beautiful, unique essence that is you, the goodness that is you, the quirkiness that is you, the beauty that is you. You're a miracle. You are here. You are wise. You are truly a gift in this world, and I am so deeply grateful to be able to keep you company right now and help you remember who you are as a beautiful divine being having this human experience. This world is better because you are here. So take a deep breath in, coming into your beautiful center, breathing all the way down to your toes and up your legs and your torso and into your chest, up your head and out your crown chakra. And then letting the light come in through your crown chakra, traveling down your body, down through your feet, as you are connecting with the blessings of heaven and earth. The angels want you to know that they are so deeply grateful for this opportunity to shine love upon you. They have loved you since before you were born. They know who you are. They say prayers in your name, and they are loving you every breath of this lifetime you are in and beyond. So we invite you to rest into this beautiful divine flow. And if you are preparing to sleep, we just invite you to drift off whenever you are ready. And if you are going about your waking hours, I'll do my best to keep you amused and be good company for you. And we're going to move on into story time. So I have a really wonderful story time for us. So let me start off by sharing with you a phrase that I heard a lot growing up in Chicago. There was a wonderful TV reporter named Harry Porterfield who was with the CBS affiliate for many, many years. And he had a feature that I think would be on once a week or so, and it was called Someone You Should Know. And he would share these stories about people who were not necessarily the most famous people or the flashiest people, that they were people who were doing good in the world. And so this sort of comes to you wrapped in that beautiful blanket of, this is someone you should know. And I am looking forward to sharing with you about her. I'm just getting to know her myself. So let me share with you, before I share with you who she is, let me share with you how I came to learn about her life. So as those of you who listen know, I love old community cookbooks, and I love sharing them with you because they really speak to the contribution of the women who raised us for generations, who cooked our meals, who made a home. And I find old community cookbooks to be fascinating. And so I'm always on eBay looking for something a little different. And I originally grew up in the Chicago area, so sometimes if I find something from Chicago, I'm interested in it. And I came across this particular community cookbook. It's called the Stevenson Memorial Cookbook. It was from Chicago, and it's from 1919. So I just knew I had to get it. I didn't even know what it was about, but it's old, and I thought I could read it to you here, and we would have a good time. So I purchased it, not knowing it was going to lead me down a rabbit hole of learning more about an incredible woman named Sarah Hackett Stevenson. She was a doctor in the late 1800s, and she was the first female doctor admitted into the AMA, which is the American Medical Association. She lived a really incredible life, and I would like to introduce you to her. So I'm going to start off by the dedication in this cookbook, which says, "This is dedicated to Sarah Hackett Stevenson, whose life was devoted to service for humanity." And then I want to read you the foreword, because this is where I really became intrigued. So, it says, during the year 1893, on the streets of Chicago, were hundreds of women who had been thrown out of employment. The genuine helplessness and hopelessness of these women appealed strongly to the generous heart of a wonderful woman, Dr. Sarah Hackett Stevenson, one-time president of the Chicago Women's Club. She went before this club and stated that there was no place in this great city where a woman without funds could find shelter, a woman who would work if given an opportunity. She demanded in the name of humanity that this, her club, do something at once to relieve the situation. Her plea had its effect, and money was subscribed for beginning work. Other clubs responded to the call for help and contributed both furnishings and funds, and what was called the Women's Model Lodging House was open to the public. No questions were asked of those who came for shelter. The past was not the thing to be dealt with, only the present and future. A charge of 15 cents a night was made, and if they were without money, work was given them, and they were paid for it. They, in turn, paying for their lodging. It was the principle of the organization that the actual handling of this money helped to preserve self-respect, and that they might not feel themselves objects of charity. This principle has held through the years, and no woman or child is turned from the door as long as there is a place to rest. Honor William B. McKinley of Champaign, Illinois, gave as a memorial to Dr. Stevenson the present home at 2412 Prairie Avenue, which will accommodate 60 women and about 50 children. The organization has become one of the strongest in the city. a delegated body of 82 members who represent women's organizations of Cook County. For the last few years, the work has grown and broadened until almost every trouble and sorrow that can come to women and children is brought to this door. The woman who is on the downward path of years, when it is so hard to find employment, her little money gone, often weakened both mentally and physically from lack of nourishment and worry. She might be anyone's mother, if not able to work for her lodging, is supplied from the loan fund. Often she can return the small amount, and she does not feel that she has received charity, but that the hand of the friend who has grasped hers and her faith in humanity is restored. The young girl who is alone and without money is safe from the cheap rooming houses of the city. The mother with her little family, who has been left by desertion or death without the father's protection, comes to this home and remains until she can gather up the thread of existence once more. Often, she is saved from placing her children in institutions or giving them up for adoption. An average of 105 women and children are cared for in the lodging house each day. As time brought the need of better facilities, the care of the children, the generous friend of the institution, William B. McKinley, gave the building at 2408 Prairie Avenue for nursery purposes. Here the children are cared for during the day, while the mother is seeking employment or otherwise adjusting her affairs. A limited number of neighborhood children are also cared for. A trained nurse and kindergartner are employed. 24-hour feedings for bottle babies are furnished so that the little one's diet may not be disturbed. In this department, 60 children are given daily care. The mother has charge of her family at night. Every effort is made by this organization to keep the mother and her children together. We believe that separation should be only after every other method has failed. A visit to the Stevenson Memorial will interest you, and you are most welcome at all times. Mrs. Herbert D. Sheldon. And she is part of the executive committee. Isn't that remarkable? So as soon as I read that, I wanted to learn more. I had no idea who Dr. Stevenson was, and so I went to our friend Wikipedia. So let me read to you her bio from Wikipedia. Sarah Ann Hackett Stevenson was born February 2nd, 1841. She was an American physician in Illinois and the first female member of the American Medical Association, or the AMA, as an Illinois State Medical Society delegate in 1876. She was a leader and advocate for the emancipation of women and for the equal treatment of men and women. So an early life and education. So Stevenson was born in Buffalo Grove, now Polo, in Ogle County, Illinois, or Ogle County, I don't know how it's pronounced. She was one of 7 children and the younger of 2 daughters. Her mother, Sarah T. Hackett, daughter of Captain Simon Hackett, was born into a prominent Philadelphia family. Her father, John D. Stevenson, was the eldest son of Anne and Charles Stevenson, one of the earliest settlers of Ogle County. She attended Mount Carroll Seminary, which later became Schimmer College, and State Normal College in Bloomington, Illinois, now Illinois State Normal University, where she graduated with honors as a teacher in 1863. And you know what? Wait, I want to go back to something because I may have misunderstood. It says in the first female member of the American Medical Association as an Illinois State Medical Society delegate. So that I misunderstood. I thought that meant she was the first female member of the AMA, full stop, period. But I think what it's saying is she was the first female member of the AMA as a delegate. So there's a little bit of a difference there from what I originally said. So I just wanted to straighten that out. So where did I leave off? So she went to Illinois State University, where she graduated with honors as a teacher in 1863. And she taught for 4 years in public schools in Bloomington, Mount Morris, and Sterling, Illinois, where she also served as principal. She later moved to Chicago to study anatomy and physiology at Women's Hospital Medical College in Chicago, where she graduated with highest honors in 1874, having in the meantime also spent a year in England studying at South Kensington Science School in London under Thomas Huxley. While in England, she stayed with Emily Faithfull, who would later visit her in Chicago. She pursued postgraduate study abroad at hospitals in London and Dublin, studying under Huxley and Charles Darwin. While in Europe, she was appointed a delegate to the Sanitary Conference in Vienna in 1874 by Illinois Governor John Beveridge. Stevenson's medical career began in Chicago, where from 1875 to 1880 she was physiology chair at the Women's Hospital Medical College. During this time, she was elected to membership in the Illinois State Medical Society. In 1875, she was appointed head of the Society's Committee on Progress in Physiology. In 1876, as an alternate delegate to the American Medical Association Convention in Philadelphia, she fulfilled the role of delegate when the appointee was unable to fulfill his attend. This made her the first woman member. Her participation in the AMA continued as she served as delegate for 3 more conventions, and in 1878 chaired an AMA special committee for advancing physical sciences. In 1879, she presented a paper on the sympathetic nervous system. That's very impressive. I mean, amazing. What a trailblazer, right? Okay, so now we're going to come to influence. She was the first of many, the first woman member of the American Medical Association. Oh, so she was the first woman member. Okay, I just really want to get this straight. It feels important. She was the first woman appointed on the State Board of Health and the first woman to be on staff at the Cook County Hospital. She was a strong advocate for I keep saying advocate. She was a strong advocate for the emancipation of women. Dr. Stevenson opted to resign from her position at the Women's Medical College because she believed the segregation of sexes in medical school was no longer needed. In 1875, she took a professorship at the Women's Hospital Medical College, which later became part of Northwestern University, but was closed in 1892. In 1876, attending the AMA convention as a delegate of the Illinois State Medical Society, she was accepted without controversy as the AMA's first female member. In 1880, she co-founded the Illinois Training School for Nurses together with Lucy Flower, and she retired in 1903. Dr. Stevenson was listed as a consulting physician at Bellevue Place Sanitarium and Rest Home in Batavia, Illinois. In 1893, Stevenson proposed to the Chicago Women's Club to create a safe home for women and children without funds and in a shelter. In 1893, Stevenson proposed to the Chicago Women's Club to create a safe home for women and children without funds and in need of shelter, which we just read about. Her proposal was accepted by many and followed by donations from various individuals and other clubs. The Women's Model Lodging was then open to the public as a result of Stevenson's plea to help those in need. There was a charge of 15 cents per night, and those who were unable to pay were given work to pay for their lodging. She's also written several books, one that is called The Physiology of Women, and the purpose of this book was to educate women about themselves. It was published in 1880, and I pulled it up on Google, and it's a very interesting book ahead of its time. When women were not taught much about their bodies. And so there were 5 chapters within the book that talk about the physiology and anatomy of women, mental health, marriage, pregnancy, motherhood, and much more. She also has a book called Wife and Mother, or Information for Every Woman, published in 1888, a book with several chapters including what to expect during and after pregnancy. She also wrote a book in 1875, Boys and Girls in Biology, which is a high school textbook based on Thomas Huxley's lectures. Stevenson states that oftentimes science is taught to others using complex terminology, rendering it unappealing and difficult to understand. This work was written in hopes of educating young boys and girls about biology in interesting and simplistic ways. I also went into newspapers.com. Do you know about newspapers.com? It does require a subscription, and it might be that your local library offers access to it. But basically, it is a repository for newspaper articles that go way back. And so you can search things by region, by time. And so I wanted to read more about her because I don't know about you, but I'm intrigued. How did I not know about this amazing woman? So I found this interesting article, which really kind of gives insight to what she was up against. So this was a discussion about the woman doctor. So this is what it says. Discussed the woman doctor, her faults and virtues debated in the practitioners' club. The woman doctor, her ability, her virtues, her faults, her future in medicine were debated at a meeting of the practitioners' club held at the Great Northern last night. And she spoke at this. So Dr. O.J. Price, who introduced Dr. Sarah Hackett Stevenson. The woman doctor, she said, had passed into history. Therefore, there was really little use in discussing her. Like, why are we even having this conversation? Basically is what she's saying. Having gone over the objections commonly raised against the woman doctor, answering them point by point, and showing that the field of medical study opened up a means of livelihood for the surplus woman population, which was one of the factors of the societal system, she said, but why waste precious time? There are many foes at hand more worthy of your steel than is the woman doctor. Amen. And then she went on to say, this is great, you're going to love her. If I were a member of the Practitioners Club, which I understand admits women only on ornamental occasions, I should beseech you to join the Women's Municipal Order League and help clean up Chicago. Right? Isn't that a nice way of saying, can you get your heads out of your butts and do something about this world rather than worrying about women doctors? Like, I'm in love with her. I love her. And so Dr. Homer M. Thomas, who was also on this panel, on the whole arrayed himself against the woman doctor, but concluded by a high eulogy of Dr. Sarah Hackett Stevenson. Like, listen, women doctors, it's a silly idea. She's okay, right? I like her, but no other women doctors. Like, don't you think that would have been a fascinating panel discussion to listen to? And oh, bless her heart, like she had to justify her presence and her ability to do her work. I love this woman. I will say she had a challenging time as she got older. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but she had a stroke and it left her partially paralyzed. And she also suffered the death of a beloved nephew. She then retired into what sounded like a Catholic charity home. She became a Catholic and she donated all of her funds to this institution. And they took care of her, and she said she was going to become a recluse. Now that's a word that I don't know how that was perceived back in the day, but there was this gala that was thrown in her honor. And so it says here in this article that the physician bid farewell to the social world at a reception given in her honor by Mrs. Theodore P. Shantz at the Virginia Hotel, where Dr. Stevenson had previously made her home. She then announced that she would become a recluse. So that was how she ended her career. And she passed away in 1909. And then I thought I would read to you from this article in the Chicago Tribune from May 12th, 1894. I just think it's so interesting to hear what was going on in that time. So the headline says, "Men and women should be treated alike. Affiliation scheme killed." So this was in Philadelphia. Dr. Sarah Hackett Stevenson offered this resolution at the Federation meeting today. Resolved that the Federation of Women's Clubs declare its belief that one standard of morality is equally binding upon men and women, and that the immoral conduct which debars one from public and social life should also debar the other. Julia Ward Howe seconded the resolution, and every woman present, recalling the trial recently held in the historic courtroom at Washington, which everyone knew had suggested the resolution, applauded tumultuously. The ayes were tremendous when the resolution was put to the House. Not satisfied with that, Mrs. Fowler amended that the resolution be adopted by a rising vote. A young man who had strayed into the hall by mistake, God bless his heart, that's just me saying that, arose with the others. This aroused fresh outbursts of applause, and an observing old lady in the gallery, leaning far over the railing, cried, "Good for you, young man, good for you." The board of directors decided that affiliation could not be accomplished, as it would be unconstitutional, an international body not being eligible to membership in a national body. So I'm not sure about all the shenanigans there on that side. I just thought that was another interesting article I would share with you. And here's one more article from the Leader Tribune, Marion Daily Leader, and it was published in 1895. So the headline says, "The grand work done by Dr. Sarah Hackett Stevenson. A notable company of brilliant women are just now occupying appointive offices in the state of Illinois. A number of them are nationally known, and others are not without honor in the community in which they live. The first woman to be appointed as a member of the Illinois State Board of Health was Dr. Sarah Hackett Stevenson, who is not only known in this country, but across seas as one of the ablest women in the medical profession. She was made one of the 7 members which makes up the board in 1893, and accepted the somewhat onerous duties, for the doing of which there is no pecuniary return." I wonder if that's financial. Some idea of what it means to be a member of the State Board of Health can be found from the fact that it is its duty, among other things, to pass upon all diplomas issued to medical students, and that last year there were 3,000 of these issued. Dr. Stevenson holds that a woman should have equal opportunity with man, and that ability and not sex should be taken into account. It was for this reason that she consented to serve on the State Board of Health, since she was the first of her sex to receive such recognition, although she has on several occasions been equally honored in other ways. Dr. Stevenson was the first woman to be appointed as a member of the staff of the Cook County Hospital. She is on the consulting staff of a number of other leading hospitals, and is prominently connected with many of the most important philanthropic movements in Chicago. whatever she undertakes is done in a way that shows her splendid training and ability. Dr. Stevenson was for some time a pupil of Hurley. I'm assuming that's a doctor. For years she occupied first the chair of physiology and then of obstetrics in the Chicago Women's Medical College, but resigned because she became convinced that the school should be made coeducational. When the 38th General Assembly passed the Factory and Workshop Inspection Law, Miss Florence Kelly was appointed Chief State Inspector. Okay, so now they're talking about Miss Kelly. Well, good for her. So they go on to talk about other amazing women. I just think this is fantastic. I don't know about you, but I am so happy to be learning about this. And I suppose I should share with you a very sad part of her story. I like to keep it light and happy, but, as I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking maybe no one knows this story anymore because who's telling about her life, right? So she was out going to an event, and that was when she had her stroke. And her companion, who she was with, took her into a storefront. Right. They didn't know what to do to help her. And so the shopkeeper at the storefront poured whiskey down her throat, which is not what she needed. And they finally were getting her into a cab. And I guess she reeked of this whiskey. And so they pulled up to one of the hospitals, and an intern who was new smelled the alcohol on her and said, "She's an alcoholic. I'm not going to treat her. Get her out of here." Not realizing who she was. And so they put her back in the car and they take her to a hospital where everybody knew her and she got the care that she needed. And apparently this created a big kerfuffle because she's Dr. Sarah Hackett Stevenson. And this brand new intern did the wrong thing. And so I guess he got a talking to. I don't know if he got suspended. The hospital tried to rally behind him and said he was new and we shouldn't judge him for this, but he's been talked to and we've changed our policies. But it was a big deal. So I think that's really sad. And I just thought I would share that, even though that's not a bright shining moment. It feels like it's a meaningful moment for her and that we should know about it. So I now share it with you. So we'll speak of it out loud and let it continue rippling as we learn from this woman who was so keyed into her humanity, her intelligence, her ability, her capabilities, and really strove to be an agent of change where change was very much needed. So there's lots of articles about her. In another one, it talks about how, wait, let me find this one. It says, here are just some of the things that she's done. They say it differently, but so this is from an article published in 1902 in the Morris County Chronicle. And it says, the marvel is where Dr. Stevenson finds time for the enormous amount of work she accomplishes. Only a woman of iron constitution and magnificent health could undertake it. Here are some of the results of her life work outlined. She helped to found the House for Incurables and the Illinois Training School for Nurses. She organized the Chicago Maternity Hospital, the first of its kind in the city. It was she who organized the Women's Hospital at the World's Fair, where 3,000 cases were treated. She is president of the Francis Willard Temperance Hospital, standing strongly as she does in opposition to alcoholic medication. For more than 25 years, she has been attending physician at the Mary Thompson Hospital and consultant to the Women's Hospital. Dr. Stevenson has the distinction of being the first woman ever placed on the staff of Cook County Hospital. She was also the first woman appointed on the Illinois State Board of Health, and her name has been recorded as the first woman member of the Illinois State Medical Society. She is the author of a work on biology for beginners, which has an extensive sale, being used as textbooks in the school. Her able pen has also been a constant contributor to the medical journals, and so on and so on. Someone you should know, right? Aren't you happy to know about her? When I started reading about her, I just marveled, and I wondered how I didn't know about her. And I grew up in Chicago. You would think there would be schools named for her, or I don't know. It just sounds like she would be someone we would have grown up knowing about. So what a blessing and honor it is in 2024 to invoke her name and her memory and her contributions, and a life well lived. Like, well done, Dr. Stevenson. And thank you for paving the way for so much and so many. And certainly, as it says in the dedication of this community cookbook, for your dedication to humanity. Isn't it fascinating that I discovered all of this just by reading that introduction in the community cookbook that I purchased just because it was from Chicago and it was published in 1919? To me, it is a wondrous thing about sparks of inspiration. We never know when we're going to find them. I had no idea I would learn about this amazing woman. And I'm so grateful I can pay tribute to her with you, and now you know about her. And we get to ripple her legacy. So thank you for letting me share with you about her. And I hope she inspires your heart as she is inspiring mine. May we all be dedicated to humanity and do our best. So thank you for letting me keep you company and hang out with you and explore Dr. Stevenson's life. I love you so much, and I look forward to sharing with you again soon. So sweet dreams, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you.